Alright, so this is going to be the video on sort of like a review and kind of my thoughts on the Apple October 14th notebook keynote. So I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it because this might be a long video, so here we go. The first thing they talked about in the keynote was the state of the Mac, and they probably spent about 10 minutes on this, and I was actually surprised they spent that much time. But the basic points that I really got out of it, thank you Mr. Macintosh, but the main points I got out of it were better computers, compatibility, whatever. Like it's what makes them like have their momentum. But the fourth thing that they had on the list that interests me was Vista, is why they're picking up their momentum. And they even said right in the keynote that Vista hasn't lived up to what it was thought it would do, if that makes any sense. And they said that right out there. Like they even said like, I'll try to quote the exact words, but it might not be the exact words. But they even said everybody knows that Leopard is performing better than Vista. So they said that right in the keynote. That's not what is my opinion, and that is a true statement. But I'm not the one that said it. So next that I got out of that is Mac now has 17.6% of the market share. Now, all you people might say, oh yeah, well PC still has the other 80% or whatever. Yeah, but also like okay, compare how many more PC retailers there are, and then just Apple. So for one company to have a 20% market share, and it's just growing. Like that's one of the main things in the keynote was their momentum. This has been happening, and it's been getting 2 to 3 times they've had 2 to 3 times these sales every quarter, so it's going up and up and up and up. So that they're really getting momentum here. So I just found that like incredible. And also they have 31% of revenues. So like they said in the keynote, one of every $3 spent on a computer is going towards a Mac. That's impressive. And also in the keynote, the MacBook is now the #1 notebook in education. It takes about 50% so far in 2008. That's that's crazy. And they even showed a picture of one college in the keynote where it's like they had probably about 500 kids there, like in the seats, whatever, and you just saw MacBooks everywhere. And he even said, "I challenge you to find the PCs." So if you watch the keynote, you'll see that picture. I found it pretty funny. Alright, so that's about all I have on the state of the Mac. So now, another thing that they spent a lot of time on in the keynote was the new way to build notebooks. So like they really went into depth on how a Mac was made. Like they showed you, like they even had a big like 8-minute video at the end that showed how they make the Mac and like the aluminum body, and so they really went in depth with that. And they passed around probably 10 maybe of like the insides of the MacBook, like the aluminum body, and they passed them around the audience. Steve Jobs probably waited about 2 minutes for everybody to finish, and I think he was pretty impatient, but it was funny. So yeah, they spent a lot of time on that too. That surprised me. And so now, moving on, they have a new graphics card, all the MacBooks. It's now NVIDIA. NVIDIA, they've been working with them for months, and they developed a chip called the NVIDIA GeForce 9400M and the NVIDIA 9600M GT. And these deliver 5 times the graphics that they had from the Intel chips. So for all of those who want to play games on their MacBook, it makes it a lot easier now. Programs like iMovie all run smoother, faster, so that's very good news. I think it was something that the MacBooks really needed, because I know like they're coming out with more games for the Mac now, and more people want to do more things at once, and you need a RAM to do that, but you also need the graphics to support it, so it doesn't look like crap. So yeah, that's very good. Next is the trackpad. They have an all new trackpad. It's all one surface, there's no buttons. The trackpad itself is the button, and it also supports gestures. It's glass, so it's really smooth. And for all you Windows people bitching about there's no right click, even though there is, now you can just set it to preferences, and if you click in the right part of it, well, actually, it'd be over here in the video probably, but it's a right click. I mean, even on the other MacBooks, you could put 2 fingers on the trackpad and click it. That's a right click. So that was never really that valid of an argument. But now you guys have no reason to complain. There's no right click. So please stop saying that, because there is a right click on a Mac. Or even if you do what I do, if you have a right click over here, it's a right click. So stop bitching, please. I'm sorry for the language, but I hear that like every day. So let's put that to rest. And so I'm not sure if I mentioned it or not, but there's now 4 finger gestures. Where say you have the trackpad and you have 4 fingers, if you go, I think, down, it activates expose. And if you go up, it puts it back from expose, or it just like puts all your windows out to the side. So I thought that was pretty cool. But it also supports like the pinching for photos and the rotating and all those cool gestures. So I thought that was pretty cool. Alright, so now getting into actual notebooks, they have a new MacBook Pro, and some things they added were the Instant On LCD, which is really nice. So the second like you open it, it's right up. It has like an iMac appearance to it, like it has like the normal keyboard. The surface of the Mac is like aluminum, like, and then the keyboard is black keys, and then all around the monitor is black. So it looks just like an iMac. So I think it looks really nice, and it's glossy. I think it'd be better if you had a choice whether you wanted glossy or not, but I've heard the gloss isn't really that big of a deal, that if you're concentrating on what you're working on, you don't notice it, and when you want to notice it, it's like, wow. So I don't know. But also now they have a new port called the mini DisplayPort connector, and it takes the place of like the normal DVI, where you can, it's like this big, and you can just plug it in and it works. So that's pretty cool. And now in the Mac Pros, both the NVIDIA cards I mentioned, both can be included, and that's like it's crazy. So, and I believe the one, the 9400 or something, yeah, the 9400M, that gets 5 hours of battery life, and the 9600M GT gets 4 hours, 5 and 4. So either way, it's not bad. So now you can get solid state drives, like what's the word I'm looking for? Like default on it. Like you can just order it right off Apple with a solid state or a SATA. And there's 2 models. One's $19.99 and one's $24.99. The $19.99 I believe has 2 gigs of RAM. The NVIDIA GeForce 9400M, 2.4 gigahertz I think, and it has like the new trackpad and all that. And the $24.99 one has, I think, both graphics cards, maybe a solid state hard drive, I'm not sure, 4 gigs of RAM, and I believe 2.53 gigahertz. It's around there. So that's pretty cool. And all you people saying that it's overpriced, that laptop will last you for years. Years. So, I mean, yeah, it seems like a lot now, but believe me, if you buy a PC laptop, once you have to buy all the programs, the antivirus software, believe me, it all adds up. The Mac does so much more out of the box, and it is worth the price. Believe me, you'll have that notebook for years to come. Years. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the MacBook Pro. And now the MacBook Air, it's pretty much the same thing as the MacBook Pro, except it's obviously $17.99 and $24.99, and you get the mini display port, like the little flap. You get the USB, I think the headphone jack, and now under that little flap you also get that display port. It has the NVIDIA 9400M, and it has 120 gigabyte hard drive standard, or you can get the 128 gigabyte solid state drive, and that's going to be the $24.99. That's why it's so much more expensive, because solid state drives are wicked fast. So it's kind of a new technology. Of course it's going to be more expensive.